Добрий день, everybody! Усіх вітаю на другій лекції вебінарного проєкту How to – Як спілкуватись англійською впевнено. Мене звуть Калина Бішер, я комунікаційна менеджерка Мінцифри і водночас модераторка цього ефіру. Цей вебінарний проєкт для вас створили Національний проєкт «Дія цифрова освіта» та онлайн-маркет курсів англійської мови «Буя». Для кращого занурення в мову цей курс звучить двома мовами – і українською, і англійською. Тема нашого ефіру сьогодні – як писати ділові листи. How to write business emails. Про це детальніше розповість Анастасія Чупікова, викладачка школи англійської мови Green Forest та бізнес-інгліш коуч у сфері IT. Анастасія, вітання!
Вітання, Килино. Дякую за таке привітання тепле. So I think that I can already start speaking English. Welcome everybody to our webinar. I hope it will be useful for you. You will tell me about that at the very end when we are going to discuss the questions. And now I believe we should come to business and actually talk about the subject, which is called how to write business emails.
Я ще на секунду перехоплю мікрофон, аби підказати нашим глядачам, що я зачитаю ваші запитання наприкінці лекції. Якщо ви їх залишите українською або англійською, то отримаєте відповідь саме такою мовою. Тож, будь ласка, насолоджуйтесь, вчіться писати ділові листи. Залишаюсь з вами на зв'язку в чатах. Анастасія, класного уроку!
Thank you so much. All right, guys. So if we start speaking about our topic and if we try to plunge into it, so we are going to discuss today several tips or groups of tips which are connected somehow to writing good business emails. But we should start from some general information. So for you to know that on average, each person who is somehow related to business correspondence receives 80 emails a day. Quite huge number. And can you imagine the next fact that almost 34% of these 80 emails which a person receives per day cause some misunderstanding, confuse, or just leads to some consequences. So today we are going to figure out how we can avoid having different consequences and different types of misunderstanding by looking at some basic rules on how to write good business emails. So first rule says that we shouldn't over communicate. What I mean here is sometimes we can talk about some really minor things which are not really essential. So there is no need to write an email to ask every single question related to your job. Of course, all of us do have some work chats on different messages. So sometimes it's better, like in the informal conversation, to ask this question and discuss it like face to face in some private chat or in the group chat. So think before you write an email whether it's necessary, whether it's important for this very topic, or you can easily solve this problem without writing a letter. The next rule says that we're supposed to use subject lines properly. What it means is sometimes when we write an email, we can be surprised, like why we don't receive any reply, or why a person doesn't come to a meeting we have just invited them to it. So blank subject line causes the next problem that your email can be removed to or just can be missed and rejected as spam. To avoid such kind of problem, you should add some details into the subject line. So here you can see a bad and a good example on how to do it. So pay attention that if we write a subject, if for example we are planning a meeting, what should it include is it should include the time, the place, if you, for example, have some special room for meetings, it should have the date when the meeting is going to happen, and ideally the topic of your meeting. So topic, time, place, and that's it. Yeah, so that your receiver, when reads or when at least receives your email, can already understand, okay, whether I should read it right now or I can read it later, or what this email is connected with. So just save your time and save the receiver's time by adding clear subject line. One more piece of advice I want to share with you related to subject lines is sometimes we write very short messages. We cannot omit sending the email, for example, for this subject, but we need and we want a person to save their time while reading it. For this, I have got an abbreviation for you, which sounds like EOM. How to use it? In the subject, you can write a short sentence and finish it with EOM. It means that it's the end of the message and the person doesn't have to open the email to read some details, because it's already clear that this is it. Yeah, this is the message, and it saves a minute maybe. And if everybody did it, I believe it would save hours, like due to the amount of emails we receive every day. So the next rule is keeping messages clear and brief. So brief doesn't mean too short. You should always remember that if you're writing an email and if your subject is complicated or has a lot of details, then making it too brief can make it non-understandable. So it should be logical. It should have some logical structure, divided into logical paragraphs, and it should have like the beginning, the main or the body, yeah, the main part, and the logical ending. How to end your emails, we are going to talk a little bit later, but still you should remember that the structure is a must, because this structure makes your email easier to percept and easier to figure out what actually you want to say by writing this email. Okay, the next piece of advice is connected with checking the tone of your email. So probably we've got some technical problems that we cannot see the next slide for some reason. But before we are waiting for it to upload, a couple of words related to this topic. Yeah, if we check the tone, it means that we are supposed to sound polite and kind. So we, like, a person cannot hear us, and sometimes by leaving too short message or by writing in such kind of way, we may seem cold or dissatisfied or even angry with a person or a person's actions, and so on. So you should keep in mind that you are to sound polite, yeah, and it's more difficult because a person cannot see you and cannot hear you, and to make it possible, you just should use proper word and proper tone in your email. So probably now this slide will appear. Let's give it a chance and wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, here it is. So you can see the bad example and the good example of such an email. So in the first example, if we look at it, we can see that probably Harry is really angry or dissatisfied with Emma, and when she reads this email, she may think like, how dare I have spent hours doing this work, and now you, Harry, are so rude with me. So in order to avoid such kind of misunderstanding, we should add maybe more words. It will not make our email kind of overloaded with words, but it will make our email sound more polite. And don't forget to sign it in a proper way, such as wishing a good day, or thanking for the work that a person has already done, but don't thank in advance. So now it seems that we have already figured out the basic rules and we are prepared, but it's only the theory. We need to know some more examples of mistakes so that we could discuss them and avoid them in our future. Let's take a look at the first one. So one of the most common mistakes is connected with grammar. So if we don't know how to use English grammar correctly, it's better to change the sentence, or it's better to change the structure which we were going to use. Like spelling a word in the wrong way can show that the writer is careless, or using the improper grammar can cause some misunderstanding, because you know that English grammar is sometimes tricky, and using inappropriate modal verbs can sound rude, like when you use must instead of should. You probably know that the common rule of good tone is use should whenever you can. So keep it in mind and double check your grammar before you send the email. Also, spelling is connected not only to common words, but also it is connected to spelling names of companies or names of receivers wrong. I believe it's not really difficult to double check whether the email, whether the name is written in the proper way or the name of the company is right, because it shows your respect to a person, like to a receiver or to a company you're sending an email to. So it's not difficult, it doesn't take much time, but it's very necessary. Just remember to do it. The next one is using reply all button. You know that sometimes, especially if we have a lot of members in the company or in the team, we can send one message and it can be received by many people at the same time. But let's imagine the situation that you receive the message and you want to leave your command, and you want this command to be read only by the receiver, by one person, maybe by the author of this email. So you write some command which is supposed to be private. Maybe you decide to gossip about one of your coworkers who wanted to be private, and you just send this email without checking whether you're replying everybody or whether you're replying and addressing this email only to one person, like to the author of that letter. So here you can face some troubles, because if it was very kind of discreet information or private information and everybody knows it, it will be a problem. And when you click send, you cannot unsend. So check or double check, or maybe check 3 times before you send your email whether you're replying everybody or not. Sometimes it's really important. Yeah, if it's something minor, it's okay. But if it's something serious, then it will definitely lead to some consequences, or at least people will be confused. Well, as for inappropriate email address, what I mean here is, you know that our first email boxes were created maybe in our teenage. I remember my first, it was something like Nastya Beautiful Nails. So it's totally inappropriate for business conversation, or like sweet baby or beer lover. You can be a beer lover for your friends, but you shouldn't be a beer lover for your boss or for your colleagues. They should know your name and second name. So the best way to insert your name and second name into your email address. Like as I have Anastasiya.Chupikova@gmail.com. Yeah, so you can text me if you have some extra questions related to our business correspondence. The next one says that sometimes we sign off our letters carelessly. What I mean here is sometimes we don't sign them off at all, which is a problem. Like when a person receives the email, sometimes it's not clear who is texting, like whether you are from the same department or whether you are some stranger or whether like whatever. Like sometimes it's not clear what you really want and who you really are. To avoid such kind of problem, what I can recommend you is, first remember that if you're writing your very first email to a person, like you haven't communicated by mails before, then you are supposed to add more information into your sign off. It should include your name and your second name, your contacts, maybe a phone number, if you really need to share it, or your email, and it should include your position and the company you work for. Just a person to be aware of who they are going to communicate with. If, like any further, you write the email to the same receiver, it's not necessary to leave this kind of automatized sign off. It's okay if you just finish your letter with like best regards or have a nice day and write your name or probably second name. If you already have some warm relationship with your colleague or with your client, it's okay if you sign your email just with your first name. So it depends on how well you two know each other, whether it's your first email or not, and whether it's appropriate for this very situation or not. You know, maybe if you are speaking about some problem or you have got some conflict and you finish your email was like, okay, best regards, have good weekends. Sometimes it can be inappropriate. So just you should see what situation you've got, just be logical and don't try too much when you sign off your email. And weird fonts is my favorite. You know, here I have prepared just one phrase for you or one piece of advice. Let go of Comic Sans. People hate it, end of story. I know, and I have seen pretty many emails with terrible fonts, you know, like Comic Sans is one of them. Look at it, like in this picture. It doesn't look serious. It looks like, I don't know, you are making a cartoon or you are writing your first love message or whatever, but it doesn't look like business font. So you should choose something that is more serious and that looks much better than this. Like use Arial or Times New Roman. They are standard fonts and they will not be hated by everybody. Of course, there are some fonts which are like as strange as Comic Sans. Just remember, avoid them all. And that's it. So guys, now we have looked at some common mistakes, and it might seem that we already know everything. Like we are ready to write our first emails if we analyze all the rules which have just been mentioned. But I have also prepared some extra tips for you, like 3 to be more precise, about things which you might not know related to business correspondence. And at the end, it will be up to you to decide whether you have known it before or not. So first thing is that we are not supposed to answer immediately. Even more, I can say you mustn't answer immediately, of course, if it's not the urgent problem. If it's urgent and it needs your presence or it needs your command right now, you understand it and you answer it right now. But sometimes we receive the emails which are just routine for us. And if you reply the email immediately, right at the time when you receive it, you just imagine you have been, I don't know, enjoying your morning coffee and you receive the email and you think, okay, I want to be so good, I want to be so perfect, so I will receive it right now. you will receive it once, you will reply it once, you will reply it second time and third time, and you will create a habit. A person will think that, okay, every time I write my colleague, she replies immediately. So when it comes to the next email and you think, okay, I am already done with it, I really want like to have some rest because I'm very tired today. So you decide to reply it in 10 minutes or an hour later. Then it can cause the feeling that a person like will be expecting you to answer it right now because you have been doing it previously. You are not replying, and then a person will become angry even. Yeah, like, how dare you? Like, why aren't you answering right now? I'm sitting here and waiting because you usually do it. So it's okay if you do not reply within first 2 or 3 hours, because 2 up to 3 hours are supposed to be the time of comfortable waiting. So people send you an email and they can forget about it for the next 3 hours. If you do not reply within these 3 hours, it's already impolite, even if it was not urgent, yeah, but the person asked you some question and so on. So you should keep it in mind. You have got 2 hours, like I suppose 2 hours is the best. Yeah, 3, it can be already too long. Maybe a person really needs something from you. So 2, it's like the average amount of time you can afford, yeah, just not to answer the email. Sometimes we shouldn't write emails at all. At the beginning, I have already mentioned one of these examples when it's not necessary to write an email. If we speak about some minor or routine questions, which can be discussed by like seeing a person somewhere in the corridor of your office, or by just texting some short message on Telegram and so on. And in other case is sometimes the topic is too confidential or is too serious, so that it's better to decide it to discuss it face to face and to solve the problem while like seeing a person or at least talking on the phone. It can such kind of stuff can happen, and such kind of problem can happen when you are sharing some private information and somebody decides to like to interfere with your correspondence and see what you're texting. Like, oh, okay, so I see that you're writing an email. What is that? It's one of the examples. Another one, if you're really sharing something secret, you're just mailbox can be broken and somebody can get an access to your data and to all your emails, all your letters. So to avoid such kind of problems, you shouldn't write an email. Or you can use another function which allows only the receiver to see the email, yeah, the words which you are writing. It's called encryption. If you put it into your email box settings, then like how it works. The message which you send will be coded somehow by some random number of symbols and decoded when the receiver gets it. So you don't take part in it, like the system does it, like kind of artificial intelligence does everything instead of you, but it can be decoded only if that very person opens it. So if somebody else, like using their account, decides to like interfere with your correspondence, it will be impossible. Yeah, just it's possible for 2 of you to see the email. But here you should check whether you have such kind of settings, because if you have set it, but the receiver, it will not work. Like both sides are supposed to have this kind of encryption in the settings. And one more thing for us is that we are not supposed to thank in advance. We mustn't thank in advance. It's kind of bad tone or bad habit, if you want. By thanking a person in advance, you already put too much pressure on the receiver. let's imagine the situation like you ask a person to send you some report or some feedback, and you write, okay, please, like you sound very polite, you make your email logical and brief, and at the end you say, thank you in advance, or thank you for doing that. So when I receive such kind of an email, I think, okay, so I am so busy right now, and now like this person wants something from me and thanks me, so it does put pressure on me. Maybe I am not ready to do this very thing right now at this moment, but after that I cannot let it go. I already have this thought in my brain which is like drilling it, that okay, do a report, and it's not necessary. A person who receives an email, if we speak about business correspondence, we know that like we all have some duties, and if we receive the email, we are supposed to answer it. So just give a person these 2 or 3 hours to gather thoughts, to finish doing what a person has already started, and after that you will receive your answer and everybody will be happy. So just keep it in mind, never thank in advance. So guys, now we have known like what mistakes we, or maybe not we, but somebody could make while writing emails. We know some 3 things which are like useful tips for you. And another stuff is that of course, when we are writing our first email to some person we haven't talked to before, we want to make a good first impression. You know that first impression is not only about meeting people in real, it's also about writing emails and reading emails, like reading how a person writes. So it's more difficult to make a good first impression by the email. If you make it by yourself, yeah, you can just wear some tidy clothes, I don't know, brush your hair, and you're already perfect. But as for the email, you should start communicating, yeah, and you should use some proper words so that people think of you as about a professional. So let's see how to do it. So there are some things which we need to avoid. First of them is too many opening phrases. It's okay if we start our email with an opening phrase like I am writing in regard, or thank you for your question, that's what I think, yeah, or that's what we are going to do, and so on. If you use too many opening phrases, it just makes the text more complicated, and a person will not get the idea of your text, because like the attention will be distracted by like a lot of unnecessary words. So 1 or 2 opening phrases are okay. If more, you should really think if it's really necessary, or you can avoid using many of them. Then the next stuff is connected these numbers, yeah, like when we present our ideas and we can say, okay, first, second, and third, it's also like extra letters, yeah, first has 5 letters, second has more letters, and they add up to some big amount of time for a person to read your email. So exchange words into numbers or into points when we make that, like the list of things we are talking about. Also try to avoid using these words like for example, or to my mind, or in my opinion in the main body of your email. If you're writing the email, you are already expressing your opinion, so it's not necessary to emphasize that this opinion is yours. It's supposed to be yours. Or if you write, for example, again, it just overwhelms or overloads your text. So just try to avoid using some unnecessary phrases. As for brackets, it's also a tricky stuff. Sometimes we think that, okay, I am writing here my thought, and I will clarify what I mean here by putting some information into the brackets. Our brain works in the other way. If we see the brackets, automatically our brain analyzes it and makes a conclusion that this is an unnecessary information. So you also should keep it in mind. if you see brackets, it's unnecessary, and your brain will skip or will not focus too much on the information which you have given or have left in the brackets. It's better, again, to divide it into some points or write it under some numbers like 1, 2, 3, or say like what I mean here is, and in this way you will avoid using brackets in your letter. And negative words, even if you are going to say something unfortunate or something you already feel sorry about, you are not supposed to use too many negative words, because it will make a person grumpy or sad and or even angry. Yeah, for example, if you are speaking about not meeting a deadline, and maybe it's not the first time, your client can think like, oh, come on, what are you doing? I'm already so angry with that. It's not your first time, so maybe you should work on it. But even if you are going to say something bad, try to make a person feel not as pity as it can be, or try to at least give a person a chance to think and analyze your words by sounding more positive. Yeah, even bad things can be presented in kind of less or even more positive way. So think about it, and remember that too many negative words will make a mood of a person worsen. And some things that you shouldn't forget. So when a person receives your email, the first thing that is shown is your profile photo. Your profile photo should be good, have good quality, and should be appropriate. So if it's you laying on the beach, it's inappropriate. If it's your portrait and you look good there and you really like the way you look there, it's a good profile photo. You should be respectful, but not too much. Yeah, if you are trying too much, trying too hard, it will already sound impolite. A person will understand that, okay, that probably you are just a very big liar, and that's it. So it will not give a good impression. Email must have a structure. We have already talked about it. Just remember that if you have a couple of questions to discuss, then it's better to divide your email into a couple of passages, like for each question. Or if you have completely like different topics, it's better to write 2 different emails by under 2 different subject lines. It's easy because like these questions can be discussed separately at different points of time, and then it will be easy to find all the ideas and all the letters related to one separate subject only. You can just search your emails by subject. For example, I don't know, like meeting. And then you will see all the emails related to this subject. Another subject can be like solving some task problems. And all the emails will be related to this subject. It's easier to navigate between these subject lines because you have sent emails separately and you have named them in 2 different ways. So it's a good advice for those who really receive a lot of emails every day and they are of totally different subjects. So as for using emojis and humor, it's my favorite topic. I have seen a lot of examples when it was really inappropriate and when it was totally misunderstood. So as for emojis, sometimes we feel that it's okay to use some emoji like smile or sum up, but sometimes it can be misunderstood by a receiver. Let's imagine the situation. You will imagine I will tell it because it was real. So it was a chat and the workers were exchanging their thoughts on some problem. And the product owner just left some comment and like one of the guys put some kind of like sad emoji, like crying emoji or something like that. Don't remember what it was for sure. Like it was crying, I guess. And then the next question was like that furious product owner was wondering like, why are you replying my messages if we're solving some problem here by putting this smile by putting this emoji. So it really made the person furious. So if you have never seen that the receiver has used emojis in their letters, you are not allowed to reply their letters with emojis as well. If you have already had some experience communicating with the same person and you saw that this person used emails from time to time, especially if it's your client or your boss or a person you just don't want to be angry with you, because it can cause some troubles, then you can also use emojis. So if they use, you can use. If they have never used, it's better for you not to use it at all. And as for humor and sarcasm, so sarcasm is usually totally inappropriate. As for humor, sometimes it's good, but here you should think whether your culture is the same as that person's culture, whether you have got same tradition, same religion even, whether you are from the same country, or maybe you have two totally different mindsets. So if like you are not sure about one of these points, it's better not to use humor at all. If you're sure that this person will understand your joke, make a joke. But if you even have like some shadow of a doubt, it's better to avoid using humor in your emails. And the last thing today we are going to talk about is vocabulary. So you know what is good and what is bad, whether humor or emojis are a good idea, whether you should sign off or you shouldn't sign off your email. But you should know also some and have some tools which can help you write the real email. Yeah, so we are coming from theory to more practical. From theoretical to more practical things. I'm going to show you just examples or most commonly used phrases. If you need to know more, I believe you have already seen some link to the extra resource you can use after you listen to this webinar. It has a couple of practical tasks for you in order to summarize all the information which we have discussed together today. And the last thing there is some useful materials and useful links for you to discover more. And one of them there is like a book where let's say it, a book where I have gathered some really important phrases for different cases. Yeah, like starting from writing your first email and digging deeper, like having meetings, talking about problems, rescheduling something, and so on. For each of these situations, I have gathered some phrases for you which can be used. And if you want to boost your vocabulary, you can refer to those resources and figure out some useful phrases. So, some examples, as I have already promised. If you start an email, we can start it in different ways. If we have already discussed some topic with a person, we can say like, thank you for your feedback, or thank you for your support, or thank you for your question. And it means that now you are going to answer some question. If you just start, like if it's the beginning of the day and you write some email on some new topic and you greet the person for the first time today, you can ask about how the person's day is going, how were weekends. If a person was ill, you can ask something about their health, like hope you feel better today, and so on. After we greet, we are supposed to like start the main body of our email. Here there are opening phrases, but remember that even if we now discuss the opening phrases, we are not supposed to use too much of them. So here there are some examples of opening phrases you can start your emails with. Like if you're going to say something bad, you can say like, accept my apologies for, or I want to make you know that. I want to inform, yeah, I'm writing to express. There is a huge list which you can see in that useful file I have already shared with you. And every good email is supposed to have some call to action. What it means? If you have described some problem, or if you are writing some request and you expect a person to answer you or to provide you with more information or to do some task, then you need to mention it in your email so that after reading all the information in the main part, a person doesn't feel lost, like, okay, what am I supposed to do right now? Should I write it now, or what deadline do I have? So here you should also be precise. You can ask a person for feedback, then you say that please share your thoughts on it, or your feedback will be really appreciated. If you are summing up some meeting, you can ask your receiver about something, and at the end you can write like, please let me know if I have missed something, or please let me know if I understand you correct. So by calling to action, you will let a person know what exactly you want from them. And the last but not least here is abbreviations. So probably you have seen some of them, and probably you have even used some of them. But again, the golden rule here is not to use too much of abbreviations, because in this case, it will just blow somebody's top. I will explain you a couple of them from this list so that you could understand in what context you can use them. For example, this triple O, out of office, you can use in such way as, today I am OOO, so Julia will be responsible for this task, for example. Or you can say that it will be good if you provide us with a feedback till EOD. It means till end of this business day. Or one more example, like FYI, today our developer is on a sick leave. So it means that, like, for your information, I want to inform you that, oh, by the way, this person is on a sick leave. And probably one more for you, we still haven't figured out what to do with this task. So it's TBD, means to be determined. So it means we need more time to figure out how to answer, how to be more precise with some problem or with some task. Let's imagine the situation like this. So guys, for now you are forearmed, I believe, and you're ready to write your first, or maybe not first, but more correct emails. I hope I was useful for you today. And the thing I want to finish my webinar is that, so you should keep in mind that email is a very powerful tool, which probably will never disappear, or at least isn't going to disappear in the nearest future. So it can either make you or break you. That's why you should learn all the stuff we have discussed with you today. And you shouldn't be afraid of making a mistake, because practice will definitely make you perfect. So guys, feel free while writing your emails. Thank you for listening, and now I am ready for your questions.
I'm ready too. So, our dear viewers, listeners, please write something to us. Окей, дякую за ваші коментарі, за те, що ви спілкуєтесь в чаті. Це дуже приємно. Ми формуємо певну таку дружню діджитал ком'юніті. Отже, в мене зараз буде можливість зачитати запитання, уточнення, коментарі, ваші історії про те, як ви писали свій перший діловий лист. І щоб задати певний тон такої відвертості, розкажу, що коли в мене була така потреба, то я піддивлялася всякі конструкції, але коли хотіла написати лист, з чистого аркуша, то я просто не розуміла, з чого починати, що туди вкладати. І от саме оцей шлях, коли я бачила, коли мене ставили в копію листи, як інші пишуть, так, я запозичувала ті чи інші фрази, їх запам'ятовувала. І з часом це взагалі не проблема написати лист. Але от оцей шлях між тим, що ти знаєш, як писати лист, і не знаєш, він справді є. Тому дуже вдячна вам, Настя, за цю лекцію, за те, що ми розібрали всякі скорочення, правила ділового спілкування. Ось. І от в нашому чаті якраз глядачі підняли питання того, чи окей це ставити, ну ніби в копію дуже багатьох колег. З мого досвіду, я за те, щоб ставити там багато колег, які мають бачити розвиток проекту, щоб вони могли на будь-якому етапі його підхопити. Ось, тому давайте ще раз, можливо, наведемо різкість, що ми мали на увазі під тим, щоб ставити в копію.
Так, я згодна з вами, згодна з вашим коментарем. Що ми мали на увазі тут, так це наступне. Якщо, звісно, ви всі працюєте над одним проєктом, і всяке буває, що, наприклад, ви там не можете сьогодні вийти на роботу, може ви погано почуваєтеся, але це не якась там суперконфіденційна переписка, то, звісно, що ваші колеги мають бути в курсі того, що відбувається, якщо вони мають безпосереднє відношення до вашого проєкту. Якщо це просто, якщо ми говоримо про просто якісь листи, які ви отримуєте як розсилка, наприклад, на всю компанію, а потім ви маєте якийсь коментар, і ви хочете адресувати цей коментар тільки до автора цього листа, тоді це краще зробити, адресувавши тільки одній людині. Цей коментар може бути недоцільним, щоб його побачили всі, наприклад, або це просто може бути ще один додатковий або навіть зайвий лист, і людям це не потрібно. Ну, тобто, якщо ви коментуєте тільки те, що ви хочете сказати одній людині, нащо іншим бачити, якщо це дійсно не стосується справи, якщо це щось додаткове, що ви хотіли додати. Але якщо ви в одному проєкті, то звісно, що вам треба бути на, як то кажуть, on the same page і знати, що відбувається. Тому це різні ситуації, і ви дієте, виходячи з того, яка у вас ситуація.
Okay. Yulia asks, is it okay to use short forms of words? For example, I've received, or better use, I have received. Does it matter, or the second one is more proper?
Okay, here you should also figure out who you're talking to. If your email is super formal and you want to look like super polite, it's better to avoid short names. But if you are having like some everyday routine conversation, everybody understands that you receive plenty of emails every day, they know you, so it's not necessary to write full forms of all the words. I saw that even sometimes like clients use shortenings, and not only like when they shorten, for example, a subject and a verb, but when they shorten words themselves, like using I don't know, I don't want to like leave my command. Yes, they can say like, I don't want to leave my com, and you are supposed to guess what they want to say here. Yeah, like even sometimes the words are shortened, but in this case you should understand like who you are talking to, and whether you want to sound very formal or it's okay for you to be less formal.
До речі, а якщо, ну, наприклад, у людини ім'я Магдалена, а вона підписується в листі там Магда, то краще потім до неї звертатись Магда чи Магдалена?
Звісно, якщо людина підписується якимось певним чином, то вона очікує, що до неї будуть звертатися тим самим чином, як вона підписується. Тому краще звертатися до неї Магда. I know, вибачте, мені дуже важко переключатися з однієї мови на іншу, але я знаю випадки, коли ну, ми всі Олександри або Анастасії, і іноді, коли ми спілкуємося з людиною, яка там з Британії, або з Америки, або з Австралії, ми хочемо бути ближчими трошки, і ми там пишемо, що ми Алекс або Анастейша. Якщо я люблю, як мене називають Анастейша, я можу так підписатися, людина це зрозуміє і буде звертатися до мене Анастейша. Тому пишіть, як вам подобається, але це знову ж таки має бути в рамках ділового спілкування.
Just to clarify, I've heard that the golden rule for replying is 24 hours, but today I discovered that it's only 2 or 3 hours. So maybe you can advise more.
Yeah, for sure. I have also heard about this rule of 24 hours, but it is not connected to the emails which we receive as part of our everyday communication. Let's imagine that you have got some client or some group, like your team, your project team, and you communicate every day. So if you communicate every day, 24 hours will not work here, because you can have a couple of messages a day which concern kind of different problems and different topics which are part of your everyday work. In this case, 2-3 hours are okay. 24 hours is already too much. So if it's your first email which you have received and you really feel that a person can wait for 24 hours, it still will be polite. But again, you look at what situation you've got. Maybe I should have made a point that we are talking about our kind of routine work conversation.
Thanks. Okay. Sasha asks, I heard that subject line should not be more than 64 bytes long, or it may not fit in the subject field or email client.
Okay, Sasha, thank you for your question. As we have already talked that our emails are supposed to be brief and logical. Of course, subject line is not endless, and it does have some number of signs which can fit in. So you just don't have to use too many words, but at the same time, you should include enough information so that the person understands the main idea, what the letter is going to be about. If 64 bytes, it's quite a lot. So you can even write a sentence into the subject line. Just think so that it is logical and opens the topic of your letter.
Я ще хотіла зробити ремарку, поки ми чекаємо запитання наших глядачів, що коли ти переписуєшся з людьми, які дійсно добре володіють англійською, ти це відчуваєш, тому що вони використовують якісь такі особливі скорочення, особливі метафори, особливі навіть якісь згладжувальні фрази, коли щось про проекту йде гостро. І от особливо ефективними та крутими є менеджери, які не загострюють ситуацію, коли там щось по проекту несеться не в той бік, а які навпаки дуже, так знаєш, акуратно, привітно, легко зустрічають навіть будь-який факап. Тому, звичайно, цьому треба вчитися. І, власне, ця легкість в написанні листів. Оце вже, мабуть, наступний етап після того, коли ти вже їх конструюєш з заготовлених, скажімо, абзациків добре. Де цьому вчитися, як би ти порекомендувала?
Ну, по-перше, коли я почула, що ти кажеш про людей, які добре спілкуються англійською, можливо, вони навіть носії мови, то ми можемо повчитися і в них. Коли ми читаємо їхні листи, ми можемо побачити і звернути увагу на щось, що вони використовують. І вони завжди дуже такі розслаблені, якщо вони спілкуються своєю рідною мовою. І ми можемо теж піддивитися і проаналізувати, як саме вони досягають цієї розслабленості в їхніх листах. По-друге, це, звісно, практика. З кожним наступним листом ви будете відчувати себе більш впевненими. І навіть якщо ви колись припустилися якоїсь помилки, це не має вас якось дезорієнтувати або збити зі шляху. Ви просто маєте пам'ятати, що не можна щось зробити з першого разу, і це не буде ідеально. Ви будете вчитися, і це, знаєте, як, не знаю, спочатку нам важко їздити на велосипеді, але ми кожного дня практикуємося, і нам все легше і легше. Те саме і з імейлами, ви вже потім будете їх писати отак з заплющеними очима, а іншою рукою, не знаю, будете гладити кота, і все буде супер. До речі, коти допомагають вам розслабитися, тому якщо ви пишете щось таке важливе, беріть кота і пишіть.
Так, а ще коти впливають на орфографіку, чи як це правильно називається. Загалом на те, як правильно ви розкладаєте коми, крапки і знаки окликів. У мене сьогодні просто a terrible headache, so sometimes it's hard to find exact words. But I know for sure that it's time to go to the end of our webinar. І на цій ноті я би хотіла нагадати нашим глядачам, що так, запис буде збережено цього вебінару, ви його зможете передивитися в будь-який час. Ми мали декілька таких запитань, не хвилюйтесь. А також до кожного вебінару наші лектори та компанія Буя готують матеріали, тож ви їх також можете передивитися. Тому не хвилюйтеся, повернутися до того, як писати ділові листи правильно, ви зможете завжди на сторінках Дія цифрова освіта. А знову ж таки, сьогодні з вами були Анастасія Чупікова та Калина Бішер. Це був другий ефір вебінарного курсу How to – як спілкуватися англійською впевнено. Його для вас створили національний проєкт Дія цифрова освіта та онлайн-маркет курсів англійської мови Буя. Дякую, Анастасія, ще раз, і хай ваші ділові листи завжди досягають цілі. Усім спокійного продовження дня.
Дякую, Калино, і бажаю всім гарного настрою і правильних листів.
Так, чудовий меседж. Па-па, на зв'язку.
Па-па!